Welcome to our deep dive on AI chatbots. We've got a whole bunch of sources to go through today and some really interesting stuff about how to actually use these things effectively.
Mm.
Everybody's talking about AI chatbots these days. Even lawyers are using them for research now. But you can't just treat them like a magic 8 ball. Like there was this case where a chatbot gave a lawyer a bunch of totally made-up case citations.
Yeah, and what's really crazy is that the lawyer didn't even realize the cases were fake until way later in the process. I think it shows how important it is to be a little skeptical when you're using these tools.
Right. It's like having this intern who just makes things up when they don't know the answer.
Uh,
So how do we avoid these AI hallucinations, as they call them?
Well, one important thing is something called prompt engineering. It's basically like giving the AI clear instructions and context before you even ask your question.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about typing in any old question.
No, exactly. You got to be deliberate about it. It's kind of like writing a really detailed brief for a research assistant. You wouldn't just say, go find me some stuff on cybersecurity. You'd be
No.
more specific, right? You'd tell them like who you're writing for, what kind of tone you want, and what the key points you need to hit are.
Right. Okay. So let's say I'm using a chatbot to help me write a presentation on cybersecurity for like a group of investors who aren't super techy. How would I actually word the prompt for that?
Okay, so let's compare a weak prompt to a strong one. A weak prompt would be something like, tell me about cybersecurity. Super vague, right? But a stronger prompt would be something like, I'm creating a presentation on cybersecurity for potential investors who aren't tech experts. I need to explain the basics in a way that's engaging and easy to understand. Focus on the financial risks and potential returns of investing in cybersecurity
Oh,
companies.
okay. That's a lot more specific. You're like literally telling the chatbot how to think and what to focus on.
Exactly. You're giving it a role to play and helping it sort through all that data it has access to. And here's another tip from the source material. Assigning the chatbot a persona can sometimes get you better responses.
Wait, a persona, like telling it to pretend to be someone?
Exactly. So instead of just asking about cybersecurity, you could say something like, imagine you're a cybersecurity expert advising investors. How would you explain the importance of cybersecurity in today's business world?
Okay, so you're kind of giving it a character to play to help it frame its answers? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it can make a big difference in the quality of the responses you get.
So prompt engineering is all about giving the chatbot the tools it needs to succeed, not just throwing it a curveball.
I like that. Setting it up for success.
Now, the expert discussion also talked about treating the chatbot like you're having a real conversation with a person.
Right, the conversational approach. It's about asking follow-up questions
Mm.
and clarifying anything that seems fuzzy and pushing for more details. Don't be afraid to say, hey, chatbot, can you break this down for me a bit further?
Exactly. Like if it throws out some technical term I don't understand, I shouldn't just nod along and pretend I know what it means.
And what's interesting is that the more you engage with the chatbot, the better it understands what you need. It's like training a puppy.
Mm.
You got to be consistent and give it clear signals.
So it's not just about getting quick answers, it's about building some kind of rapport with the chatbot and teaching it how to talk to you effectively.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point about using AI chatbots. You always have to double check the information they give you.
Oh, right. Like those lawyers who got tricked by the fake case citation.
Exactly. We can't just take everything a chatbot says as gospel truth. We need to be critical thinkers and verify the information.
So let's say a chatbot tells me that some company is a leader in cybersecurity. How do I actually go about checking if that's true?
Well, you could start by asking the chatbot itself. What are your sources for this information? See if it can point you to any reputable websites or industry reports or news articles. If it can't provide solid sources, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah, it's like checking the footnotes in a research paper. You want to make sure the information is coming from a credible source.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to do your own independent research. Look up the company on Wikipedia or Crunchbase and see if their claims hold up.
It's almost like you have to become an AI detective. You need those critical thinking skills to sift through all the information.
That's a great way to put it. And it's a skill that's only going to become more important as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
So we've covered the basics of prompt engineering and being a bit skeptical of the information these chatbots give us. But what about the bigger picture, like the ethical side of all this?
Yeah, that's a huge topic. We could do a whole deep dive on that alone. But as AI gets more powerful, we really need to think about the impact it's having on society and make sure we're using it responsibly.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to come back to that in another part of this deep dive. But for now, I think the main takeaway is that AI can be really helpful, But it's not a replacement for human judgment.
Absolutely. AI is a powerful tool, but it's up to us to decide how we use it.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Learning how to use AI effectively isn't just about technical skills. It's about developing a critical mindset and understanding the limitations of these tools.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface here. There's so much more to explore in the world of AI chatbots.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive into some specific examples of how AI chatbots are being used in different fields. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of AI chatbots. So last time we were talking about getting the most out of these things, like writing good prompts and double-checking the information and all that.
Yeah, it's like we're detectives trying to figure out what's real and what's not in this AI world.
Exactly. So for this part of the deep dive, I thought it'd be cool to see how this technology is actually being used out in the real world.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting examples from our source material. Like in healthcare, for instance, AI chatbots are already making a big impact there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about AI being used to diagnose diseases and stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm not really sure how that works.
Well, imagine you go to the doctor and they take an x-ray of your lungs, right? Now, instead of just relying on the doctor's interpretation, they can feed that x-ray into an AI system that's been trained on millions of other
Oh,
x-rays.
wow. So it's like a second opinion.
Exactly. The AI can analyze the image for patterns and anomalies and flag anything that looks suspicious. It's not about replacing doctors, but giving them an extra tool to help them make better decisions.
That makes sense. It's like having a superpowered assistant.
And AI chatbots are also showing promise in personalized treatment. Imagine a world where your treatment plan is tailored to your specific genetic makeup, your lifestyle, your medical history.
That would be amazing. No more one-size-fits-all medicine.
Right. AI can sift through all that data and figure out what the most effective treatments are for each individual patient. And it can even help people manage chronic conditions by providing personalized reminders and tracking their symptoms and answering any questions they might have.
It's like having a 247 health coach.
Exactly. And this could be a game changer for people in rural areas or anyone who has trouble accessing healthcare.
I can see that. It's really incredible how AI is making healthcare more accessible and personalized. Now, what about education? Our sources mentioned something about AI being used to create personalized learning experiences.
Yeah, AI tutors are a big thing right now. Imagine having a tutor who can adapt to your individual learning style, your pace, your mood even.
So it's not just about delivering information, it's about creating a more engaging learning experience.
Exactly. AI tutors can provide customized feedback, suggest additional resources, and even adjust the difficulty level of the material based on how you're doing.
It's like having a personal teacher who's always there to help you. Do you think AI tutors could help close the achievement gap in schools?
A lot of educators hope so. AI tutors could provide that individualized attention and support that some students might not be getting in a traditional classroom setting. They can also help identify students who are struggling early on so they don't fall behind.
That's really interesting. It sounds like AI has the potential to really transform education.
Yeah, it's not just about tutoring either. AI chatbots can also be used for research, writing feedback, career guidance, you name it.
Wow. There's like a digital librarian and a career counselor all rolled into one.
It's pretty amazing, but we have to remember that AI is still in its early stages. There are still a lot of challenges to overcome.
Right. But the potential is definitely there. So let's shift gears a bit and talk about business, because AI chatbots are making a big splash there too.
Definitely. Businesses are using them to automate tasks, improve customer service, generate leads.
I've definitely noticed more websites using chatbots these days to answer basic questions and stuff.
Yeah, those AI-powered customer service agents can handle a huge volume of inquiries, which frees up human agents to focus on more complex issues. Plus, they can provide 24/7 support.
But do you think AI chatbots will eventually replace human customer service agents altogether?
It's a possibility, but I think it's more likely that they'll augment human capabilities rather than replace them entirely. The goal is to create a seamless customer experience where AI handles the routine stuff and human agents step in when needed.
So it's all about finding the right balance.
Exactly.
Now, our sources also talked about AI chatbots being used for marketing and sales.
Yeah, they can be really effective at generating leads and nurturing potential customers. They can engage with website visitors, answer questions, and even qualify leads based on their responses.
It's like having a tireless sales assistant.
That never takes a break.
Exactly.
And they can also personalize marketing messages, which can increase the chances of converting leads into paying customers.
This all sounds great, But are there any downsides to using AI chatbots in business?
Well, one concern is that they can sometimes come across as a bit impersonal or robotic.
Yeah, I hate it when you're trying to get help from a chatbot and it just doesn't understand what you're asking.
Right. So it's important to design AI chatbots that are not only efficient, but also empathetic and engaging. They need to be able to understand natural language
Yeah.
and respond in a way that feels human.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah,
between technology and human connection.
exactly. We don't want to lose that personal touch. Another potential pitfall is that AI chatbots can be susceptible to bias if they're not trained on diverse data sets.
Oh, right. So if a chatbot is trained on data that mainly reflects the preferences of one particular group, it might not be as effective at engaging with people from different backgrounds.
Exactly. It's crucial to make sure that AI chatbots are inclusive and represent the diversity of the customer base.
That's a really important point. So as businesses start to rely more and more on AI chatbots, it's not just about implementing the technology. It's about using it responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I think it's important to keep these potential benefits and challenges in mind. We've seen how AI chatbots are already transforming healthcare education business.
And the story is just beginning. The choices we make today will determine how this technology shapes our world in the years to come.
It's both exciting and a little bit scary to think about.
Definitely.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the bigger picture questions about AI and its impact on humanity. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into AI chatbots.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From prompt engineering to, real-world applications, healthcare education business. It's amazing to see how fast this technology is moving.
It really is. But now I want to kind of zoom out a bit and think about the bigger picture. Like, what does the rise of AI actually mean for humanity as a whole?
It's a question that everyone's asking these days, philosophers, scientists, everyday people. AI has the potential to change our world in such profound ways, and it's up to us to decide how we want to deal with that.
One thing that really struck me as we were going through these sources is how AI is forcing us to rethink what it means to be human.
Yeah, it's like AI is challenging those old assumptions about what makes us unique.
Right. Like we used to think that things like creativity, empathy, critical thinking were purely human traits. But now we're seeing AI systems that can write poetry, compose music, create art. It makes you wonder what role humans will play in a world where machines can do so much of what we do.
It's a tough question. Some people think that AI will eventually surpass human intelligence in almost every area, and that could lead to some pretty big power shifts.
It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
To think that we might one day be sharing the planet with machines that are smarter than us.
It's a bit unsettling, but other experts think that humans will find a way to adapt. They say the key is to focus on those skills that complement AI, rather than trying to compete with it.
So instead of seeing AI as a threat, we should see it as an opportunity to augment our own abilities and create a better future.
Exactly. And that's why responsible AI development is so important. We need to make sure that AI is used for good, not for bad.
Right. Our source material talked a lot about the need for ethical guidelines
Yeah.
and regulations to prevent AI from being misused.
Yeah, we need to be thinking about things like algorithmic bias, data privacy, the potential for job displacement.
Those are all huge issues.
We need to have open and honest conversations about these things and make sure everyone has a seat at the table. Policymakers, tech developers, educators, everyday citizens.
It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the impact it has on society. We need to make sure that AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
I agree.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on AI chatbots, I'm feeling both excited and a little bit cautious. It's clear that this technology has the potential to revolutionize our world, but we need to make sure we're using it wisely.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads, and the choices we make today will shape the future.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
That's a great way to put it.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
I hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought and encouraged you to learn more about AI.
If you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this, don't worry, you're not alone. The important thing is to stay curious, stay informed, and keep asking questions.
The future of AI is still being written, and we all have a part to play in shaping it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, the conversation about AI doesn't end here.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep imagining the possibilities.